they can get help in Bunnell to help build fences. I said, Douglas, yeah, your property moved over about 8 or 9 feet or more. So he still didn't have a problem. Yeah, that flowing well is right about in there, because I remember standing there looking at it.
So it's closer to your property.
Hmm?
It's closer this way. Because I've been through the woods a little bit, where the gate is. I went down that road, worked my way back a little bit.
Yeah, I see everything moved this way. But I don't think you'll have a problem.
I think
But
I
you
was
know,
too far out.
Actually, you probably could put boots on and. But what I did one time, we walked from, here, and you could look down and see water coming out of it. It's good water.
And the heart of pine on the side of this house is from the Parker's house. Those big, they supported your father's home. They came from the old home in Darker.
Oh, okay.
Does that, no, I'm asking.
Yeah, they didn't build anything. Well, Brammer has a pretty good piece of property. I was telling them, I said, they bought 5 acres, and then they realized that friend had a friend, and they had 5 acres, so they ended up with 10 acres. But anyway, I have been down this way and down that way and back up, and you have to get on logs. But you could look over to the outside and you should see some water.
Yeah, there's a trail down that way and cuts behind the garden.
Yeah. I used to do that by myself and nobody around. Wouldn't take a pistol or anything. My sister and I got down there and really, Linda she could do that. But on a cold day, you're out of the wind. Say, do you all like swamp cabbage?
Mm-hmm.
You could do some hiking around here. See, there was, I think, 2 or 3 palms over there. We don't need any more palms.
What happened to everybody that lived down here? Did everybody just decide we don't want to live here anymore? Or?
They, well...
One time this place was really happening.
Well, have you been to the Prince's place at doing things and then coming back up this way?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that pretty?
Mm-hmm.
Now see, we used to go down that way and go fishing. But there is a piece of property there that belongs to the Intercoastal. And don't be in the road when the truck comes out. Because they'll run into you. Who told me it was full of sand?
Sorry.
There is a sand lot back there.
Are you done?
There's
Yep,
a
thank
sand lot back there that they dig to do roads. Or,
Well, when they come out,
I hate to make you keep getting up.
it's very scenic. And see, you come down here, then you turn, and I took my cousin, before they shut the gate, down here, and that was really, he really enjoyed that. See, that was his old stomping ground down there. People had been going in there, camping. But I stopped talking. We were talking about the cane. And then comes summer, well, you have to get that cane in the ground because you can't do anything with it till fall. My dad planted watermelons out there. We didn't have any hogs around. I don't know where they were. Just one particular watermelon weighed 63 pounds out there in the hot sun.
Oh.
My dad sold it to his uncle. And then that garden, down there we had okra, green beans, you wouldn't believe. Squash.
You're fine.
How did he fertilize it?
Hmm?
How did he fertilize? Just
You didn't have to.
didn't have to.
Down in the garden you would. My dad had a water hole. You couldn't see it, but it's under those trees. And you know, he'd plant something and get him a cup of water and walk in there and water it. But it stays kind of wet most of the time. But those satsumas are the best orange that you can plant.
You got some of those sour oranges, the wild soured oranges?
No, I think there used to be a tree over here near Hewitt's, but I think that tree died. Used to be a tree in the swamp. We kept a close lookout for it, but it probably has died. And I don't know who did that. I don't know who planted them. See, there's a mimosa right there, down there to your right. And you need to get a chair out and sit under that mimosa. The hummingbirds just go wild.
Got a big one over here too, I saw.
Huh?
You have one over on this side. Mimosa, too.
Yeah. And Paul says, cut it down. No. And my mother used to have her sister-in-law one year gave her some purple plums. And she had purple plums in the backyard. And you know, in those days, you could hear these pumps start up. Everybody was holding a hose, you know. Colleen and my mother, and that gets old. Get the sprinkler going. I haven't seen her go for it all.
One was out a few minutes ago over there.
There's one. Here's one. Oh, that is a pet.
That's a pet.
Friend from Bunnell, she wanted a gopher because she was taking care of a little girl. And they love to come out here. And she says, could we have a little gopher? And my mother said, sure. So they took this gopher, that one, and it was a small one. And she kept it for a long time. And then she finally said, can we bring it back?
It got too big.
It went right over there. And then it'll go out, come out, and it'll crawl under the fence, and then it's beating it across the field. Some of them are pretty good size.
Mm-hmm.
We don't eat them anymore. My dad used to butcher one. Everybody ate gopher or turtle. Now, one time, it had rained and there was the biggest turtle coming down the road going to the swamp.
Hmm.
And that was like just before Memorial Day. And we kind of got, my son was here, so he waited a while, several days, and then he said, I think I'm going to go back, get out of here. I said, okay. But all the potatoes in the fields out around Bunnell, they were ruined. This was a big turtle. He was headed for the swamp. And when she brought the little gopher back, it had little ones too. It was made it around here, and they had a home over here in the ground. And but years ago, when I moved to Palm Coast in 1996, a box turtle would get in the house. And then I think some quail would be out running around. You know, that sounds good. But on my street, I have picked up these box turtles, and they would have to swim, it was so wet. And so I'd put them in the car, take them to my yard. One got in the house one time.
It's beautiful out here.
I said last time we were here, I'd never leave.
Yeah.
Unless I had to go to the grocery store or something, I'd never leave out.
So what are y'all wanting to look at?
What do you want to show us?
Huh?
What do you want to show us? You're the tour guide,
We'll
Barbie.
look at anything.
We'll have to start on a new list, Mom.
Huh?
We'll have to start on a new list.
Yeah. See, I think my dad, I don't think he really liked to kill anything. And he let his brother do that. But he loved to fish and flounder.
Oh, did you tell him about him being over at,
You want some?
was it his dad's house on the beach and fishing at the front and the back?
Yeah. You know, a lot of these people over here, their families had a house over there on the beach side. And up there, the mailboat, I have to tell you about the mailboat. The mailboat would come in and tie up right there at Summer Haven. It would come in and tie up. And so my mother knew the mailboat driver. She knew, and this uncle would ride the mailboat. My dad would ride the bicycle over there. Well, I think one of the uncles would help him get to Summer Haven. But he would get on the mailboat and go to St. Augustine. And he was the oldest one in of the kids. So his mother would send him to St. Augustine to stay with them. And he learned carpentry. And that was the Osteens. So anyway, that worked really good because he learned a trade. And then I think somewhere along the way they had a house there on around. I think it would have been marched in by now. But my dad had a shark hook, and they had this 2-story home, and my dad would bait it up. He'd be on the top porch, and he would toss it over because of, a channel on both sides. and he would throw it in, like he would be on the two-story side, and he'd throw that shark hook in, and when the thing they tied it to, where it had something else too, when it hit the banister, he knew he had a bite. Now, my dad enjoyed that kind of stuff. And two, well, you know.
You want me to take the plate?
Just set it right there. You know, if there's a bucket of water, I'd stick my foot in it. I have done that so many times. But anyway, my dad would be on the porch. He'd throw the hook in, and then when whatever he had it tied to, you could hear it. And he did that lots of times. Oh, and let me tell you something else that went on way back. We had a hurricane over there, and my dad says, you all got to see this. So he drove us over to Summer Haven. There were about 6 or 8 homes upside down in the water. That was way back in the 30s.
And they still build all around there.
Yeah.
And still go through the same thing.
Let's see, we have been very fortunate here. But that fella sitting back there telling me, you haven't had a hurricane ever. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm about ready to send him back to Bunnell. I'm not that fierce.
As she sits there with a rifle beside her.
Yeah, exactly.
If she was that fierce, it'd be the first
I can
one.
hardly pick it up, it's so heavy. Oh, and one of these times I'll get my equipment together and I'll teach you how to build a fishnet.
Did you see the reel
Okay.
above the bulkhead up there?
Yeah.
Above where?
Well, you know,
A couple.
in my garage in Palm Coast is full of rod and reels. And the first thing, or well, almost the first thing, when I moved down here, my grandson and I went and bought us a boat. Now we wore it out, and Mary's got it.
I tell you, I'm in shock that electricity didn't get out here until 1980.
80, yeah.
I mean, that's. I mean, I realize now it's a while back, but that's still kind of like modern times, you know.
Yeah, and see, it came in that way, and then it comes this way, and that's when Brammers moved in also. But and then this fellow that's trimming trees around, you don't need to be planting near the wire. And I thought, and I still got the note.
That tree wouldn't be that big from 1981.
Yeah.
No.
And then they put the wire, electric wire right through it. Then it's got to be cut down or whatever. Because Lewis Wadsworth wanted electricity now. You know, people have to pay for some things themselves the hard way.
Now, this is DuPont Road, your
Yeah.
driveway here.
Yeah, my property starts back here at the pasture,
Mm-hmm.
and the first 5 acres cuts up this way, and then there's 5 acres more. And these 10 people, they said, I don't know why your dad has to have it east and west. You look at all these maps, and the county draws it out, east and west.
Mhm.
It's not east and west.
Yeah,
But then that was back 1928 or 29.
Do you think it's biblical? Do you think it's biblical to be facing east?
My dad always liked Easton, because he was a carpenter.
Hmm.
The reason he did it. But these kin people were laughing at him. I don't know why Ellis has to have it straight east and west. But you look at all the maps and I don't care how crooked it is, they draw it straight east and west.
Was he a Freemason by any chance?
Huh?
Was he a Freemason by any chance? No.
No. He stayed with his granddad, and his granddad taught him how to be a carpenter. And that gave him a wonderful opportunity to learn carpentry and to go to school up at St. Augustine. Then here comes the war, and I don't know where he got his training, but he was a cook in World War I. And you know, he and somebody from Benel, they did not leave the harbor in New York before the war was over. But you know, things are getting so bad. And I think if I was out here and somebody was going to do something, I think I could line up something for him. I'm not fierce, but
Yeah, I could take them out, but I'm not fierce.
well, you know,
You're feisty.
I do not like to kill anything either.
Well, I think you do what you have to do, but you're just not spiteful about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to go inside where it's cool?
Right, so-
I'm okay.
Yeah, we're fine.